This is the second part to my reaction to How Mother 3 Breaks You, made by Super Eyepatch Wolf. If you haven't seen it already, links to the first part are in the corner card in the top left corner and in the description. With everything out of the way, let's continue.
Failing to do so, meaning bosses like the Barrier Trio will blow your skull out through the back of your head, sending you crashing back to the game over screen again and again, and it's great! But a few minor nitpicks being
Okay.
probably wouldn't rank it among my favorite battle systems, and yes, I do think 10-2 is one of the best systems of all time, and if you disagree with that, then I'm sorry, you hate fun! But I also think in judging Mother 3's battles solely on a mechanical basis, you might be missing the best thing about them. And to show you what I mean here, let's talk about Negative Man. You find Negative Man hidden away in a side path of a small lake game dungeon. There is no explanation for him, he carries no story significance, beating him does not progress your game. He just kind of is, and when you fight him, this happens. Negative Man muttered, "It's always the same." Negative Man sobbed, moaned, and started wailing. Negative Man moaned, "Just get rid of me now." He barely attacks, and when he does, he inflicts just a single point of damage. And so, for a while, it's just you and your party wailing on this morbidly depressed protoplasm. And then when it's over, it's just like, what the fuck was that? But I think in the same way, what you took from the firework was the memory of the firework, what you take from Negative Man is the memory of Negative Man. He
certainly
is
was
just
negative.
Another strange part of this world you got to experience, but this time it's through the battle system. And it's not just him. There are so many strange and memorable encounters like this. Remember the mole cricket we talked about from the tutorial? He later returns and explains that he was emotionally devastated by his loss to you and has spent years training for revenge. He takes you to the Cricket Kingdom, where a cricket elder will preside over your rematch, lays out an elaborate system of rules, and then after everything, you beat him in one hit, and it's fucking great. Sometimes the encounters are just really weird and random, like searching a haunted kitchen and finding a spooky jar of ghost jam, and this enemy doesn't appear anywhere else in the game. It was just made for the surprise of this moment. And that's the thing about Mother 3's encounters. They are constantly surprising and memorable. Despite the fact that the enemies are all just still images, they still convey a massive amount of personality thanks to the beautiful, soft, expressive artwork that makes even machines of war feel friendly and cute. Many enemies even having their own unique gameplay mechanics that build on that personality, like the rocking ghosts, who are a pain in the ass, but if you can pull two of them into the one battle, they will begin jousting each other instead of you. And there are so many of these battles I want to talk about, but the last one I will is Big Bro and Lil Big Bro. Two enemies who by themselves are kind of useless due to their crippling anxiety, meaning they can't even attack you. But if you return to this area later in the game, the two have overcome their personal problems together and made a single competent enemy. And it's so stupid and sweet. But this is the beautiful thing about Mother 3's world. It is designed around creating these little moments that just stay with you. And it encourages you to be curious, to seek out the oddities that are
that's the thing.
You. And the battles become just another part of that. And so while a huge part of this game is about grief and loss, it's also about the joy of existing in a world that is endlessly surprising and fascinating. And that's why it feels so wrong when that world starts to change. There's no gentle way to put this, but the evil creeping through Mother 3's world, and particularly Tazmily, isn't your typical RPG ambiguous nameless darkness. It is straight up fascism. And I don't say that because the Pigmask army do literal Nazi salutes, or the fact that they say offensive things in battle, or that they want non-binary people to disappear for reasons that are confusing and ridiculous, but in how they corrupt the culture of Tazmily. And it starts so small. The mysterious salesman Facade introducing the concept of money to Tazmily by purchasing pigs from a local farm boy. And from that one interaction, the entire town begins to twist and distort as the villagers begin to listen to Facade's promises of happiness, but also his messages of fear, as he warns them of great lightning storms that will obliterate their homes and the monstrous chimera that have begun to flood their forests. Both the work of Facade and his pig mask army. But the people of Tazmily don't know this, and fear begins to spill throughout the community. Facade infecting Tazmily with his capitalist way of life. And something really sad starts to happen. You watch this village die. Not by being destroyed or burnt down, but by having its entire way of life erased. As its dirt roads become paved with concrete and its buildings begin to stretch into the sky. As the villagers begin to want more and more, now earning money by working in a massive factory run by the pig masks, abandoning their small, self-sufficient way of life, so that when the factory is shut down, the villagers are left without any means to support themselves, forcing the villagers to abandon Tazmily, leaving its once bustling streets now silent and empty, its people migrating to New Pork City, a capitalist nightmare where every corner reeks of falsehoods, from its overpriced but ineffective weaponry to its skyline made up of cardboard cutouts.
Oh my god, wait a sec, I gotta go back and look. What was...
But ineffective weapon.
Fake bat, fake frying pan, 20,000, 18,000, but it does plus 30. Oh, okay. I have no idea how that compares, but I'm gonna guess it's worse.
Weaponry to its skyline made up of cardboard cutouts, its buildings a mishmash of different cultures and aesthetics spliced together without reason or thought. The little village of Tazmily, now gone, absorbed into this grotesque concrete monolith. Its rulers oblivious to the lives they've destroyed. One of those lives,
Empire Porky,
Lucas. It's about 8 hours into the game before we take control of Lucas again, and now everything's different. 3 years have passed since the death of Hinoa, and watch how beautifully the game conveys the emptiness Lucas still feels from her passing. In a scene that mirrors the beginning of the game, he awakens in his pajamas, but try to run outside this time, and it's not Hinoa that stops him, but Lucas's memory of her. And having previously experienced this moment, you feel that. You feel the emptiness left by Hinoa in Lucas's life. Approach the mirror to get changed, and another memory of Hinoa is triggered. Lucas feeling his mother's absence in every corner of their home, and it's devastating. But it's not just Hinoa he's lost. Shortly after his mother's death, Klaus disappeared, and Flint now spends every waking second searching the mountains for his lost son, returning only sporadically to place flowers at Hinoa's grave. Lucas having watched as every part of his world is replaced with something colder and crueler, now alone in a frightening new existence. I'm guessing this is probably apparent by now, but for as joyous as Mother 3 is, its world can be obscenely dark and even frightening. There's even one section later in the game where the characters experience a surreal mushroom-fueled hallucination based on what Itoi describes as his worst fear. A place where everyone you love hates you. And this section is a goddamn nightmare. Inside the mailbox was the sound of yourself crying. Everyone's waiting for you. Everyone's waiting to throw rocks at you, spit on you, and make your life hell. Stuffed inside the mailbox was sheer, never-ending darkness. I'm gonna beat you, boy. Daddy's gonna beat you. Your mommy's waiting for you. She's waiting. She's waiting for you. It's moments like this where it feels like the game is actively trying to shock and upset the player, including one that would nearly certainly get this video demonetized if I was to talk about it properly.
Sorry, what was the example? Okay, somebody naked in the bath? Okay.
if I was to talk about it properly. But you can check the description if you want my thoughts on it and a full content warning.
Okay. Let's look at that then. Content warning, child abuse, pedophilia, possible transphobia. There's a fictional race of mythological genderless beings in Mother 3 called the Magpies. Personally, I like the Magpies. I think they're a positive force within Mother 3's world, and the guardians of Mother 3's world willing to give up their lives for the greater good. But I think there's also a good argument for them leaning into some reductive stereotypes. But I'm not the person who should be deciding if their inclusion is positive or negative. The moment I truly do dislike is when Lucas encounters one in a hot spring and it's implied that something sexual happens between them and it awakens Lucas's psychic powers. Okay. In the video, I talk about how important I think the darker moments of Mother 3 are in conveying its message, but I am not talking about this moment. It is the only part of the game I wish was not there, and is a front runner for possible reasons why the game has never been localized on possibly and possibly never will be. Okay.
It's the darker moments of Mother 3 that feel so at odds with the earlier joyous, happy tone of the game, but that contrast seems intentional. Famously, one of Itoi's childhood memories is that he wandered into the wrong cinema as an infant and witnessed a murder scene from the film Military Policeman and the Dismembered Beauty. And while not explicit, you can see how this scene would have been traumatizing to a small child not expecting it. How afterwards it would have made the world seem like a darker, more frightening place. And Itoi has spoken about wanting to create moments like this in his games that replicate that loss of innocence. That concept, that loss of innocence, is a huge part of Lucas as a character. When you first meet him, he's constantly described as a crybaby and coddled, weaker and meeker than his older brother Klaus, and this is reflected in his battle ability, with only a slightly higher attack stat than average and lacking both the magic of Kumatora and the debuffs of Duster. Okay, look, I accidentally deleted the aura in Duster when I was entering his name in the name entry screen, and by the time I noticed it, it was too late, and I'm not going back and recording the footage, so can we just not be too mean about it in the comments? Okay, thank you. But as
It's not Duster, it's Dusty!
the game goes on, something really cool starts to happen. Lucas learns that he is one of two people who can pull the needles binding a massive dragon beneath the core of Mother 3's world. And if someone pure-hearted pulls the needles, the
Wait, is Mother 3's world the same world as in Mother 2?
dragon will awaken to be a force of good. But if someone evil does it, it will devour all of humanity. And so Lucas accepts this massive, impossible adventure alongside his dog Boney, Kumatora, and Dusty. Duster, fuck it! And as the game goes on, Lucas's weakness begins to fall away, people commenting on how much he's grown. And the really awesome part is you start to feel that in the battles. Lucas eventually obtaining powerful endgame spells like Mass Heal and Mass Resurrect, meaning he now becomes the beating heart of your team, the party member that you will build your entire strategy around.
Wonderful.
Creating this feeling that like, wow, this kid went from being this weak, lost child to now being this ultra powerful psychic user. He went through hell, but he got through it. He became stronger. And it's just this really lovely conveyance of character development through gameplay mechanics. However, there's a problem in that someone just as powerful as Lucas has also been pulling the dragon's needles. But when they do, there's not a sense of good or evil, just a deep feeling of emptiness.
Hi, it's me again. So we're about to enter major spoiler territory, and so you can skip to here if you want to avoid.
There's no way you can go, I'm sorry. But no, I'm not skipping. I don't care about spoilers. There's a more than likely chance I'm never going to be able to play this game, so here goes. Though I'm going to guess, is it the brother or is it the father? I'm going to guess it's one of those two.
But I just want to say, I don't think you knowing what's going to happen in Mother 3 is really going to affect your enjoyment of the game. It's just not that kind of experience. But hey, listen, you do you, buddy. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Actually, you know, that it felt really weird and stilted being like, I'm gonna go and just exiting the frame like that. So, I appreciate you watching the video. Hope you've enjoyed it up until this point.
I
There's
have.
a really weird meta bit that I'm pretty proud of coming up, and no, you know what, this feels weird and awkward, and it's like I don't really know how to end this segment, and the longer it goes on, the stranger and worse it feels, and oh my god, it just keeps going. John, when you're editing this, please don't use this footage. It just makes me look like a rambling crazy person.
YouTube madness. It takes the best of us, doesn't it?
Throughout your journey, you'll encounter the Masked Man, an extremely powerful psychic user who acts as an enforcer for the fascist Pigmask army, as well as the one other person.
It's his brother, isn't it?
Needles binding the dragon. And it is not too difficult to figure out who this person actually is. But the way the game confirms
it's Ness
to you is really cool. At the start of the game, Mother 3 asks you what your favorite thing is. And I entered the name of my partner because I like them a lot, and also the word wrestling wouldn't fit, and this becomes the name of your most powerful attack, which is why it's so jarring when the Masked Man uses that same attack on you. And this confirms what you've suspected the entire game. This fascist force of evil is your brother Klaus. You don't know what's happened to him in the 3 years since Haneo's death, but he's different now. He's changed. Everything Klaus was is gone, replaced by something cold and nearly mechanical. Like something terrible and nihilistic has crawled its way inside Klaus. And it has. The same thing that's been creeping through the entire world since the beginning of the game.
Fascism.
And it's only in the final hours of Mother 3 you discover who this person is. Porky, the villain of Mother 2. And it's strange to introduce the central villain this late into the game, but you've also felt his presence the entire time. This is the person who's been splicing animals into freakish chimeras.
You know what? I probably should have guessed it was him, given that it's New Pork City, and I thought New Pork City was like an Earthbound or Mother 2 thing, because I thought Porky was, you know, the villain of that.
The one who has treated this world as well as the lives of every person in
so I thought Porky
his
died.
own personal toy box. That's who this guy is. A being who seeks absolute control over all natural life, to the point that he's even rejected death itself. Now an infinite, endless corpse trying to contort the world to his will.
Okay.
So, while Lucas's story has been about accepting death, Porky has completely rejected it. And you can see how strong that rejection of all natural life is in the final moments of your battle with him, where rather than be defeated by you, he seals himself away in his absolute safety capsule, where nothing can ever harm him again, but from which he can also never escape. His infinite, endless existence, free of all joy and all pain, till the end of time. This is why I think Porky is a great villain. He is oblivion. He is the nihilistic desire to escape all feeling, but it's that nihilism that's crawled inside Klaus. And so you step towards your brother, the final needle in sight, and the finality of your entire journey just hits you. It's hard not to think back to who Lucas and Klaus were at the beginning of this game and who they are now. As the battle begins, your entire party is wiped out. This fight is between Lucas and Klaus and no one else. Lucas battling not just to save the world, but to get his brother back. And Klaus to bring about true oblivion. And what's awesome is how the emotions of both characters are communicated through the battle mechanics. Klaus lashing out at Lucas, striking him with killing blow after killing blow, but try and attack with Lucas, and he cannot bring himself to harm his brother, even with the end of the world looming. It's only when Flint appears that this changes, and he is overjoyed to see his lost son, reuniting his family for one beautiful, terrible moment, before he's critically injured shielding Lucas from Klaus's attacks. And it's upon seeing this, Lucas is able to finally let go of the brother he knew, the two now trading massive, vicious damage back and forth as both their lives begin to eke away. But something else has started to happen. A voice has begun echoing out through the darkness. Klaus. It was Hinawa's voice. We see an image of two cribs side by side, a sunflower swaying gently in the breeze, and Hinawa pleads with her sons to stop hurting each other. At first, Klaus ignores her, unable to let go of all the emptiness that has brought him to this moment. But as the spirit of his mother pleads, Klaus begins to do less and less damage, and the battle messages start to change. The masked man shut his eyes. Lucas wanted to cry. The masked man gazed at Lucas. Finally, Hinawa's words reach Klaus. You must be so exhausted. And Klaus removes his helmet. We fade to white, and this text appears. Klaus staggered towards Lucas. Klaus embraced Lucas. Lucas remembered Klaus's smell. I'm really happy you could be with me just before the end. I'm going to where Mom is now. Thank you.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god, that's so fucking sad. Jesus Christ. I cried the first time I played this, and if Nintendo's marketing is to be believed, I think a lot of people did. And what that comes down to, at least for me, is more than just this sad story between two brothers. Personally, I think where it starts is the dragon. At this point, Klaus has pulled 3 needles and Lucas has pulled 3 needles, and so the one to pull the final needle is going to be the one to influence the soul of the dragon. And so what is the dragon? What is this big, ridiculous story element that's been looming over the entire game?
It's Ness.
And personally, I think the dragon is us. And I know that sounds kind of stupid, but to me, this entire fight, this entire encounter, it's about grief and how we handle it. Do we embrace oblivion? Do we give into nothingness and reject all pain and happiness just to avoid the feeling of loss like Klaus? Or do we take that loss? Do we feel every inch of it and make it part of ourselves, like Lucas? To me, that's the heart of this fight. It ends, and Lucas pulls the final needle, and the world gets plunged into this infinite darkness with text just appearing on screen that just says, the end. And it's devastating. But then, something really strange happens. You can actually control the text. You can control the end. And as you do, as you're moving around this weird little black space, you start to bump into people. And you realize that it's every character you've met over the course of the entire game. They're all alive and they're all okay. And things are never going back to the way they were, but maybe they don't need to. Maybe that's alright. And it's here where something else really crazy happens. The characters start speaking to you directly, like you, the person holding the controller. And they start saying how they hope you're okay, how they hope things are going well in your world. And it's weird, but after everything you've been through with them, it feels genuine. Like it's this sincere message of hope coming from this little video game. It's like, okay, what you're watching right now, I am not a person. I am a collection of pixels on your screen being streamed through the internet. I am a piece of data. It's like if this piece of data said to you, I hope you're doing okay. I hope things are all right in your life, and if they're not, I hope they get better soon. That's how this game ends. And fuck, that breaks me open.
This to me is why 15 years after it came out, a game that was never released in English still has such a massive and passionate following. That passion doing everything from driving the goddamn heroes of Starman.net that did the fan translation of Mother 3 to fueling the fandom that still to this day celebrates every tiny moment of this game. And even beyond that, Itoi has famously stated that if Mother 4 were ever to be made, he would rather be the one playing it than creating it. And I think in a way, he's gotten that wish. You can still feel the soul of Mother 3 in games like Undertale, Lisa, and even the upcoming Odyssey, a game that spent a large part of its development as an unofficial Mother 4. And while the original Earthbound is absolutely a part of that, to me it's the story and heart of Mother 3 that you can still feel in these games. Mother 3 is a game where terrible things happen. They happen out of nowhere and for reasons that are impossible to understand or comprehend. It's about those moments that divide our lives into befores and afters, and how there is no preparing for them, and once they do happen, there is no going back. But it's also about learning to survive in the space after those moments, because the world doesn't ever stop being funny or weird or beautiful. After long enough, you'll start to recognize that. You'll start to notice that whatever pain you suffer, you can ultimately survive it and make it a part of you. You just have to live long enough to let that happen. And hell, that is worth saying to me.
See, I really wish I was able to play this like when I was younger. He said that this was released on Game Boy Advanced. And why did I never get this? This would have been so cool to play. Granted, with me being so young, it most likely would have gone right over my head, but still would have been fun. But yeah, that is it for now. If you haven't seen it yet, the original video is linked in the description. Corner video will be leading to my newest Let's Play video. And yeah, with all that out of the way, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.